Good evening and welcome to Mental Health Matters After Hours with myself, Dr Audrey Tang, and co-host Judith Crosier. This is the show where we cover all things mental health and well-being. For our workplace well-being, tune in at 8 a.m. PT, and that's where we cover all things in the workplace. But there's always space to look at different approaches to healing. And that's something that we think is really important. We are not endorsing anything over the other, but what we do like to do is to show you what's out there. And this is what today's show is all about. So let's start. We've discussed some of the issues we've had in the past with health and so on, and how the medical model isn't always suitable and other things might work instead. So for you, Jude, what have you tried that's complementary or different to the taking a pill?
It's interesting. I've tried various things, but probably not for long enough over the years. But the best thing I ever did was go to a nutritionist 20 years ago, and I went through all the things I might be intolerant to, and he asked about my sleep and exercise and all of that. Well, it was a very strict program I came out with, but I followed it, and I started it 1st of December. So, of course, a month later, Christmas came up. So I thought, I'll just, I'll follow it till Christmas. I'll give myself a couple of days off and get back onto it. Well, I never did get back onto it. But for that month, I've never felt so amazing as I felt. So, the nutrition program and exercise, I suppose, but not just a walk every day was the best thing. It's
really interesting. Now, I don't know whether, and this might resonate with other people, I get the exercise headache. So, and this is after doing a very slow park run. This is 5K round a park, and it's painful for me. But
you do it. I do it.
And I get that kind of that throbbing headache afterwards. I think it's partly dehydration, partly all of those things. And I always used to take your tablet for it. You know the types. I'm not going to advertise I'm certainly not going to advertise it either. But more recently, I've started drinking electrolytes instead. The stuff that if you're doing a marathon that you take, but they work.
It works.
That worked, and I just took one, and it was kind of I took it just after I finished the run, and the headache didn't manifest. It didn't turn up.
Amazing.
So that was it was a revelation to me.
Yeah.
But instead of suppressing it, I kind of preempted it.
That's so good. So that suggests that you were a bit dehydrated.
And
also
it was the salts.
Yes,
it
exactly.
was the salts that was the problem. So sometimes it can help to look a little bit deeper into different approaches to the same symptom that's come up. And in today's show, we are going to hear from Sarah Dawkins. She has written the book Heal Yourself, and she takes a much more spiritual and mindful approach to healing. But to give us an introduction into mindfulness, we are going to take a visit to Samantha Amit. She is a world-renowned mindfulness coach. She's going to tell us exactly what mindfulness is and how it works for us.
Maybe I will start with the point that we actually all are practicing a certain kind of mindfulness to a degree. And I hope that today I'll introduce you to more parts of mindfulness that you can introduce. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is how you pay attention and what you're paying attention to, the quality of your attention, the quality of your presence. So maybe I'll just break it down to a few things that could be helpful. So we want to pay attention to our thinking. We want to pay attention to our feelings. We want to pay attention to our sensations in the body. That's so important for mental health, for emotional health, for well-being. So we want to pay attention to what's going on within us. But not only that, we also want to pay attention to what's going on in our outer experience. And so mindfulness really is paying attention within and also without, but it's how you pay attention. So if you can take, the judgment and you're able to let go of that and bring curiosity in, you can actually start solving problems. So that's what I do when I'm practicing mindfulness in a session. with my clients.
Yes.
I help them to gain new perspectives.
Yes.
And new ideas, and that's what calms them down.
Today, our guest, Sarah Dawkins, takes a different approach to healing. Sarah, welcome to Mental Health Matters After Hours. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Audrey. I'm excited to be here with you.
Well, your approach to healing is very different to, I guess, what we conventionally know, things like the talking therapy, drugs, chemicals, that kind of thing. Can you tell us about your professional journey and the philosophy of your book, Heal Yourself, please?
Absolutely, yes. So my professional journey started as a nurse, and I was a registered nurse for 20 years. But somebody challenged me at work, one of my colleagues, about using pharmaceuticals at home, which sent me into a tailspin because, why would I not use pharmaceuticals at home? I'm a nurse. So I started researching. And through my research, I found out how powerful our body is. So I started looking at what I can do to support my own healing and started healing a whole host of different health problems. So I wanted to share this with the world because it was novel to me. I've never heard of it, never understood it. When you're sick, you go to a doctor, you get a pill. As I'm healing, I'm starting to learn more and more about the healing process. So I trained as a coach, and that's when I started to understand more about healing because, as a nurse, I only looked at nutrition, hydration, sleep, and exercise. I mean, how would I know to look at anything else? That's all that was in my sphere of context. And as I continued healing, I understood that there was a lot more to it than just the physical. There's the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional, and they all need addressing. So I totally did a 180 on my core beliefs of what I thought healing was, to as go to a doctor and get a diagnosis and a prescription, to now I believe my body heals itself, and when I support it, it's more efficient at healing me. So now I surrendered my nursing license because I could no longer live in that conflict. And now I help others to do like I've done and heal themselves by themselves.
That is incredibly powerful. It's a very powerful approach to healing. I think it's very important that we do consider all of the different approaches to healing, where of course healing naturally is one of them, and you've also got all of the others, and it is sometimes, I think, horses for courses, but I think it's important to understand that there are many different approaches out there.
And if you just little tweaks in your lifestyle, in your food choices, in your thought processes, have huge impacts, because what we think shows up in our body.
So what would you say are the key problems with the current approach to illness?
Where do I start? Right, let's take my dad. My dad has just been diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer, and his days are very numbered. I'm watching him fade away in front of me, which is why I'm here in the UK. But I took him to the urologist on Tuesday, and the urologist was just talking about, this is what the scan shows, and we can give you this injection every 3 months, and there's no reason you can't live to be 100. So I said, well, what about his increased respiratory rate? What about the fact that he's turning blue when he's going to sleep? What about the fact that he's burning up? What about the fact that he's so weak? What about the fact that he's lost 4 stone in weight? And he just dismissed it. And he said, look, we'll just give him this injection every 3 months, and there's no reason he can't live to be 100. So my dad's hanging on to that. And I've had to go back to his doctors and liaise with them to get palliative care and Macmillan nurses involved, because I don't even think he'll see it 3 months for his next injection. He had a near-death event on Wednesday morning, and myself and my sister were here, and I said, he's going. He turned white, he had the changed throats breathing, and I'm like, this is the reality. This is what's happening in the real world. And the urologist was only concerned with his prostate. And it's like, if I give you this injection, it'll stop the cancer spreading. You can live to be 100. And the mismatch is just incredible.
I think you raise a very good point about how we do sometimes need to question medical professions. When there's a lot of things wrong, the urologist will see something wrong with the system they deal with. The oncologist will deal with the cancer. And it is very much like that. And I think unless we're quite careful, what you're taking for one thing exacerbates another, and then you take another pill and that exacerbates something else. So there is definitely an argument for keeping an open mind and remembering that your voice is one of the most powerful instruments when it comes to dealing with the medical profession. We're keeping you, Sarah, but we've had this sort of conversation on the show before, and so we're going to go across to a clip from our special, which is where Dr Gus and Jono talk about the importance of taking that client person-centered approach when it comes to healing.
Because when people come to us, at least as a doctor, when patient comes to the doctor office, they come with their symptoms, and sometimes they even struggle to explain what the symptoms are. So we need some time to talk it through, understand what's the dynamic at home, what's going on. There's more to it than just that specific thing. And when we give you give the time to talk and really understand what's going on, you start to see the underlying issues. And with the 10-minute time frame, we mainly just give everybody paracetamol and ibuprofen. I've heard that so many times. People just go to the A&E and go back with just a prescription for that. And it's really frustrating. And when you actually, like in my case, I'm working with women trying to lose weight. They come to me saying, I want to lose weight because I don't like my body appearance. I want to change my appearance physically. And when we start to talk about it, we realize there's a lot more going on. And then by session 2 or 3, we're focusing on building self-esteem, building healthier coping mechanisms. We're talking about completely the shift in our focus changes completely. And until we start talking about the real underlying issues, we wouldn't be addressing anything.
Yes, this is the conversation we have very often. We hear a lot of stories. A lot of lads go to the GP, then they get prescribed antidepressants or things that they don't really need, but that's the symptom they're displaying about isolation, depression, and all those things. So that's what they get given. The time frame you don't have in the GPs is that time to talk, the time to process what's actually going on underneath the childhood traumas, your relationship with your parents, all that. That is not an overnight conversation. It's not something that just happened overnight, and it's something that you have to dig deep, sit with, process, understand, learn, self-educate. There's a lot of things that you need to go through, and it takes a lot of work. But GPs don't really have that facility and that time to do that, which is why the whole mental health awareness is great. We're pushing a lot of narratives and stuff like that, but then it's also not great for the system because the system's not designed for it.
Good evening and welcome back to Mental Health Matters. We are talking to Sarah Dawkins, and we are talking about your book, Heal Yourself, where you've really focused on the body's natural power to heal. And we've heard that you've been able to make some changes to your lifestyle, which have had an effect on your body and your mindset and so on. And we've just been talking about the problems where a medical professional might be quite rigid in their approach and also sort of limited with the time that they can take. And we don't necessarily get what's best for the individual. And I think that's something where we actually celebrate having a range of different practitioners on, because we need everyone to know that it's not one size fits all when it comes to your healing. You know what's best for you.
So with your work then, would you ever recommend a blend of pharmaceutical solutions with what you do?
I don't tend to recommend pharmaceuticals at all. But don't get me wrong, I believe modern medicine absolutely has a place today with accidents, emergencies and traumas. you know, with anything that needs urgent medical assistance. Like 8 years ago, my dad had sepsis and he was rushed in and given IV fluid and IV antibiotics. And without that, he would have died.
Yeah.
I know people that have fallen over and broken limbs. They need that medical attention to reset those bones, those limbs. So it absolutely has a place. But I think for everything else, our body is sending us symptoms that we can look at. And there are natural treatments out available for us, but also our mind is so powerful that we can manifest symptoms just from what we're thinking. And equally, we can manifest healing by changing our beliefs and our thoughts.
Yeah, okay. And with your success stories, could you share some of those where you've really helped people?
Yes. Recently, I've been working with a lady with severe anxiety, and she rarely went out of the house, and she's covered in psoriasis as a direct result of all the anxiety. I started a meditation class 2 years ago in my village in Spain, and she's come virtually every week. And I've done a lot of pro bono work, especially with the people who come to my meditation class, because we go for coffee afterwards and we chat. And she said to me recently, "You have no idea how you've helped me in my life." And she's able to go out, she's able to interact with people. She comes to my meditation class every week. And I don't need more than that. For me, just seeing her out and about and able to go out is huge. I've had another lady who came to me in floods of tears, didn't understand why she kept breaking down, why she felt so sad. And in back tracing her history, because I talk to all my clients and with compassion and understanding, so they feel safe to just say anything to me without judgment. And this lady, it transpired when she was telling me her story, thought she'd actually been abandoned by her parents as she was younger. But it transpired her mum had mental health problems and had to keep going in and out of a mental health institution because it was back in the 50s, 60s. And she thought she'd been abandoned and given to other people, but helping her look at that and reframe it, it was an act of love. Her mum gave her to family to be looked after while her mum was institutionalized.
Yeah. The reframing is actually a very important thing sometimes. Would you say, sorry, just jumping in with a question, would you say you kind of blend the work that you do with the second wave therapies, the talking therapy and or acceptance and commitment, which is third wave?
Yes, absolutely. My aim is to help people to discover their own issues, the root cause of their own issues. Because when they're talking to me, I can often pinpoint it, but I don't want to be the one that goes, look, what about it there? That's what I see. I'm like, let's just talk around this. Who was there? What happened? How did you feel? Give me some more information. And then suddenly they go, oh, wait, because that, then that. I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
And it's so good to see them make that, see what's happened and how they're holding it and how it's affecting. So it is about helping them to bring compassion to themselves as well, because it's easy to go, oh, do you know what, I really messed up there, and then we've got that awful voice in our head, and the voice is ours, but the words aren't. They come from our childhood. So if we can help reframe those words and identify they're not our words, but it's our voice, they start to look at their situation differently.
And that's very beautiful. And we had Jono, whom you've just seen in our previous clip. He talked about a very useful exercise, working out whose voice is actually speaking to you when you hear a critical voice. So let's head over and have a look at the clip of Jono.
We're accountable to our own actions and taking responsibility full on about it. And I think a nice exercise that I did when I first started was tallying up all my negative words that I used in my head.
I love it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was like 50, 100 and all sorts. And then once you have the list, and you go through it every day for like a week or 2 weeks, and you start seeing a pattern, then start changing those into more empowering words.
Goodness, like an affirmation, really.
It is,
yeah.
but it's once you start, again, like you said, reprogramming your words and your brain, and but again, the meaning you choose to put behind it.
With that, finding the patterns, you might find the words that you commonly use, and actually that's when it gets even deeper, that you start going, oh, hang on a minute, my dad always used that word, my mum always used that word, and then, is that even my voice? Oh.
Is that even my words?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you use words that your friends use.
Yes.
Because you hang around them so much,
Yes.
you pick up on their vocabulary.
Greetings, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli, host of Energize You TV, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Go to Fresh Takes right here on E360 and get Reiki-fied and energized today.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters After Hours, where we're talking to Sarah Dawkins about her revolutionary approach to self-healing. So Sarah, as a healer, and you must see lots of people who are extremely anxious and vulnerable as well. So how do you keep your own mental well-being in check?
I walk my dog for nearly 2 hours a day. So I live in the mountains in Spain, and it's quiet and it's beautiful and it's warm. So I'm out an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, just walking in the peace and tranquility, connecting with nature. And just bring myself back into my body as well, because it's and I'm like everybody else, I'm human at the end of the day. My mind goes off into that future, and it's like, oh, what if this, what if that, do you think that might happen? And it's like, just bring myself back into my body and go, how am I feeling today? And I thank my body as well. Thank you for looking after me. Thank you for taking me on these walks with the dog. Thank you for my ability to do almost anything I want to do, because I'm fit and healthy. And so just really coming back.
Gratitude is so important.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
It is. And being in nature, we hear that a lot, don't we? From lots of people, a
Yes.
way of grounding. And
it reminded me, we had a guest on, Rosie Miles, who she opened a yoga retreat in Spain.
Yeah.
She showed us the pictures, and we were just, oh my goodness, if you're waking up to that every single day,
incredible.
you can't help but feel good, can you?
Exactly. If you're in the mountains in Spain, I mean, what more could you want? Beautiful. And so, as well, you must have challenging days. How do you cope when you have a challenging day? Other entrepreneurs and coaches might like to hear your ways of dealing with that, when you might be struggling, but you've still got a full day to get through.
I again bring myself back into that moment. I do a mind dump as well, dump everything down onto a piece of paper so I don't have to hold too much in my mind. I journal, and my meditation then is, in the morning and the evening. So I like try and set an intention most mornings, but most mornings I'm out in nature going, oh, how wonderful is this? Just looking at everything that, I forget to set an intention sometimes, and I'm on my way home. I'm like, all right, today's going to be a really good day.
I think that's really good, because it does bring us back when we catch ourselves. And it's part of the practice of being more self-aware by doing this, setting the intention, but catching yourself if you're going off track, which is really important. Which sort of brings me on to my next question about some of those bad habits. What do we need to watch for when we really want to change our mindset? We want to be more grateful, be more aware, focus on the now a lot more, but we just trickle back to the past or trickle back into the overwhelm of the future. What do we need to do to catch ourselves?
Just take a breath and be more self-aware. Just recognize what we're doing. Sometimes I'm on the internet looking for a bit of inspiration. Maybe I don't know what to post on my social media, so I'll look on the internet for some inspiration. Sometimes I get on there and I get a bit lost, and it's called doom scrolling, isn't it? And I admit, I'm in it. And then I suddenly like, wow, where's that time gone? Right, I'm stopping that. I'm just going to pick a subject out of the air and write about it. So it's about recognizing what you're doing and how you're doing it, because it's easy to fall into that downward spiral. Take a breath, and is it really as bad as you think it is? And if you're having all those negative thoughts, ask yourself, are they really real? Or do you think they're real because that's the reality that you're perpetuating? Whose thoughts and beliefs are they? Can you find evidence to support those negative beliefs? Is there a message coming from your subconscious in those negative beliefs? And how can you accept that they're there? Because a lot of people say, well, just flip it to a positive. Well, sometimes we need to look deeper in it because there is a message. Sometimes there isn't, but sometimes there is. What is that message? Thank your body for sharing that message with you, because it's wisdom. And then look at, how can I see the world differently? And if that needs you to go inside and pull up a happy memory, something that brings a smile to your face, that makes you feel elevated, then do that, because then that elevated state of mind will show in your body and will carry you through the day.
It is about catching ourselves when we go down that negative spiral. Sarah, thank you so much for your time. Where can we learn more about you?
From my website, www.sarahdawkins.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And on that note, we are going to go over to Mindfulness Coach Samantha Amit, who took us through a mindfulness exercise. Yep. So do it with us.
So I'm going to invite the two of you to actually sit with both your legs on the ground and to practice together with me as well. How does that sound?
Yeah, amazing. Perfect.
Okay, wonderful. Are you okay also to close your eyes?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this is what I ask my clients. I always check in with people and see that they're comfortable. And so wherever you are now, I'm going to ask you also to find a place to sit, if you can, and to place both your feet on the ground. And let's start first of all by just feeling our body sitting on the chair. And so just getting comfortable. And if you'd like, you can just move around a bit as well, just to get more comfortable. So getting more comfortable, and like sometimes I like to say lifting your shoulders and just dropping them. And then gently, if you may want to close your eyes. And if that's not comfortable for you, then just find a place where you can gaze. One spot that you can gaze to. So I'm going to close my eyes. And I'm going to invite you, let's just open up the space by saying welcome and your name in your heart. So I'll say welcome, Sam.
Welcome,
Audrey. And let's just take in 3 breaths, breathing in and breathing out. So breathing in life, and then breathing out any tension. Breathing in life, and breathing out any tension. And let's just take one more breath, breathing in and breathing out. And now I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness into check what's the internal weather right now. So just almost like a gentle internal gaze within. Noticing what the internal landscape's like. And just breathing in and breathing out. And whatever you discover, whatever the weather you discover, just notice it and say, this is interesting. And so I'm going to invite you now to let go and just again come back to the breath and come back to my voice, breathing in and breathing out. And we're going to do a mindfulness visualization together. So just follow my voice and just continue to also follow your breath. So breathing in and breathing out. And I'm going to invite you into a space where you choose a relationship now that's important for you in your life, that maybe you want to even improve the quality of that relationship. So just choose anybody, whoever pops into your mind's eye, choose that person. And maybe just acknowledge yourself now with a smile for even, bringing that intention in for wanting to improve that relationship, for the care that you want to bring into that relationship, or from whatever the reason is. And so just breathing in and breathing out, and just hold that person in your awareness. And let's let go of everything, in fact, and just let's think about what we want to bring into that relationship. So letting go of the past and looking forward and looking at a possible scenario in the future where I could actually be in conversation with that person. And so let's pop into that kind of situation. So breathing in and breathing out. And just notice yourself in conversation with this person. And remember that you making up the story in your mind, so you can change, you're the producer, so you can change anything that you want about this picture. So coming back to my voice and your breath, so breathing in and breathing out. And let's again notice yourself in conversation with this person and see how you're showing up. And what's important, what qualities are important, what values are important for you to bring into that conversation. And just noticing where your awareness is right now and coming back to my voice. And we're going to end this short mindfulness inquiry or mindfulness meditation. And just before we finish, I'm just going to ask you to just ask your higher self, is there anything else? And giving thanks for any wisdom that you may have received now. And just taking another breath, breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back.
Oh, I feel very relaxed
So
now.
do I.
Yeah.
Extremely relaxed.
I really like that. And I like your weather check. The internal weather check is a beautiful metaphor, really good imagery. What do you want people to feel after this? Because I know I definitely feel calm.
I feel very calm and very like I've been somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you want? What would you hope people feel?
Yeah, so I think one of my biggest strengths as a mindfulness coach is helping people understand that they're the producer of their life.
Yeah.
And they have so much mastery over their life. So in this mindfulness practice that we did some grounding first, which we always have the ability to choose something, to take a few minutes to calm us down. No matter where we are or what we're going through in our life, we can just breathe, which we started off with the breathing and the looking inside. And I help people to understand, don't be afraid if you notice stormy weather. You know, that happens to many of us it can happen during a day, and you know how you can have a downpour and then the sun comes out. And so I help people to be more comfortable. But that's what mindfulness is actually. It's not about making everything pink and bright, but actually being more accepting of yourself, being more resilient, being more comfortable in your skin. So being okay with what is in the moment. So what I want people to do is to actually drop into the present moment and find strength from that. Find the ability to say, okay, what now?
For today's Test the Trend, because we are taking a holistic approach to health, I wanted to give you a challenge. This challenge has come from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is where every night he looks at all the different hats he wears during the day. He's a dad, he's a son, he's a brother, and you will wear lots of different hats as well. You'll be a friend, you'll be a partner, you'll be a sister, you'll be a daughter, and so on. And what he does is you look at all of those different roles and you ask yourself, how well did I perform in each of those roles today? And then you think about, well, what can I do to be that one step better tomorrow? And it's a really nice thing to get you more aware of who you are, what you're doing, and in the here and now, which has been a big theme of today. Now, one of the key things we always talk about on this show is taking a holistic and broad approach to the many different methods of healing. We don't endorse one over the other because we know it's always horses for courses. It's always what suits you. And because this is a TV show, we can't possibly sit there and give you a diagnosis or give you advice because it can't work that way without us seeing you. But if you can keep an open mind, know what's out there, what I will say about all the approaches we've discussed in today's show, it comes from positive psychology. That is an area of research that was pioneered by Martin Seligman, and he said these work as a complement to other forms of therapy or intervention that you might have. And research has shown if you use these in complement with anything else you might need, what tends to happen is there's a lower relapse rate and people tend to recover faster. So whilst I wouldn't want to say this is an alternative, I don't like that word anyway, use anything that you can do for yourself. Get mindful, get spiritual, get emotionally expressed, whatever it is that suits you, get creative. If you can do that in complement to anything else that you're doing, you are more likely to not only help yourself get better, but stay better as well. Well, we've come to the last part of the show, and it was so nice to revisit many of our other guests as well that have been on this show, because we always learn something new from everybody. And I think what Sarah's doing is consolidating a lot of that academic learning out there, which is about how holistic health, going out for walks, being grateful, training your mindset to think a bit more positively in a very challenging world can make a huge difference. What are your thoughts about this positive thinking approach?
I think there's a lot to be said for it. Sometimes I think, if you have something seriously medically wrong with you, it's not always going to help. It can help because there's documented stories of people who have been diagnosed with horrible things and their positive outlook has defied the doctor's prognoses. Yes. So you know that it can help, but it can't overcome everything. Yeah. Having said that, I think if you are well and you have a general positive outlook and you do, you eat well, you do enough exercise and you are positive, then that can maybe keep you healthy for longer. Yeah. So that's where I think it sits and where it's really, it can make a lot of difference to your life.
I agree with you, because sometimes even when it comes to the so-called more mental illnesses, so depression and so on, whilst you can take pills for it, you can sometimes use talking therapies, and that can help more. I was always very much against prescription, but at the same time I do recognise that some people actually need the prescription to even be able to take on the talking therapy.
Yeah, or even to get out of bed.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you know your body best. It's what Dr Gus said. You know your body best. And it's about being aware of it and taking the time to listen to what it needs, whatever that next step might be for you. Have you got any sort of examples of, because what resonated with me when Sarah was talking was how a doctor can be very one-track minded. And recently I went to the nurse again for the pill. I'm getting to 50 as we're recording this. I'm probably over 50 once this airs. But I'm not allowed to take my pill anymore because it increases the rate of deep vein thrombosis.
Okay.
And the only thing there, apart from the progesterone-only pill, which is the one I've gone on to, is immediately the coil. That's it, the coil.
Right.
That's all we're getting.
Okay.
And it feels a bit like, oh, right then, no. no, we're not doing that. And that frustrates me. It's a female nurse. She knows there must be other stuff out there, but we just talk about the coil.
Because it's the easiest and most inexpensive thing. So that's exactly the thing that annoys me, is that there's not it's not always patient-led.
Yes.
Sometimes it's too patient-led. You'll go to the doctor and they'll say, what would you like me to do? I don't know. That's why I'm here. I want you to help me because you're the qualified medical person.
There needs to be a balance, doesn't it?
There needs to be a balance. So that's that. And also the lack of holistic approach. That's a very frustrating thing, because so doctors, and they have to look at symptoms in isolation, but they then, and it's a time thing and it's a money thing, we know that, but they won't put it all together. So you could go to the doctor with 5 separate symptoms and it could all point to one thing, but because you've seen 5 different doctors, because you're only allowed to talk about one thing, you see a different doctor for the next thing and no one joins the dots, and it's very frustrating.
And we're not just beating down on the medical profession, because we know Dr.
Absolutely not.
GP, he works so hard as a GP, and it was he himself who just felt we don't have the time to do this, and we get it, we absolutely get it, but this is also why there's an importance in taking responsibility for our own health. And one of the most important things, and I hope this is the message everyone takes away, is your voice, raising your voice. That is going to be your strongest weapon. If something doesn't suit you or isn't right for you, no matter where it's from, holistic, pharmaceutical, or somewhere in between, if it's not for you, you can ask for a second opinion or a second choice. So, on that, we wish you good night.